Let me see here.
Well, can you tell us about your at least the first Bigfoot experience you had?
I can tell you both, actually.
All right, awesome.
So, and this starts way back in 2000. I was brought to this area by a couple that had a really great sighting report. They had gone into the woods, gone off trail. Now, mind you, the husband had been in those woods all his life. He's been going up there since a kid, and he liked hiking those woods, especially this one particular trail. And they decide one day to go off trail a little bit. They're going to have a picnic by this creek. So they get down by the creek and they start unpacking when something begins to scream at them. Now, he has heard every kind of thing that's been in the woods in that particular area. And of course, we're talking about the eastern Adirondacks of New York, very close to the Bigfoot capital of New York, Whitehall, New York.
Yeah.
And he says, that thing, he goes, it was screaming so loud I could feel it vibrating in my chest. And that said a lot.
Yeah.
He said, so I said to my wife, I said, I think we better pack up and get out of here. I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
So they pack up and they start to leave. And as they're leaving, he can see out of the corner of his eye this thing kind of following them about 100 or so feet away, going from tree to tree to tree. Meanwhile, every once in a while, it's letting out another scream.
Wow.
So they're basically getting an escort out of the area. And that's one of the behaviors we've seen with Sasquatch when they're being a little aggressive. So to me, that's a territorial behavior. So that was the area I wanted to start focusing on.
Yeah.
And I was just blessed that a couple of years into my research that I had gotten this particular area. Meanwhile, a few years later, there was yet another sighting in the area by somebody else that was staying there overnight. This was a really scary thing, but he was in the parking area, sleeping in his car, which a lot of people do on cold nights up there. Because, it's open area. You can go out and have a nice campfire, but man, it drops in. I had a couple of friends up on that hill tonight and last night, and they said they woke up, there was snow on the ground.
Wow.
So because it is elevated, it's up on a mountain. It's up on a mountain. It's up. Where right now I'm about 30 feet above sea level. That's about 1,800 feet above sea level. So it's a little bit of a climb.
Yeah.
So this guy had, woken up in the middle of the night. He's like, oh, I got to use a tree. And he goes to open the car door and he hits something. And he looks down and he sees this hairy thing. He's not quite sure what he's looking at. And he looks up and there is a Bigfoot looking down at him.
Wow.
And when he looked up at it, it just kind of looked at him for a second, looked away, and then just walked off. And that's a very home ranging type of area. Of course, close by the area, but it's not quite where the other couple was. Still off a ways. So I go up there, and so I've been doing research up there. And in 2006, I managed to be doing some research up there, and something we hear come from our 7 o'clock. Mind you, it's dark now. 7 o'clock, moving off to our 11 o'clock. And we get hit with this horrendous odor. Boom.
Wow.
Smelled like death, skunk, musk, wet dog, all garbage, all rolled up into one.
Wow.
And as quick as it was there, it was as quick as it left. Just like that.
Oh, wow.
Right. So we say, well, let's start. It's dark out now. We had gone in there. It was kind of late in the afternoon. Now it's, it's November. So it gets dark pretty fast. But let's go get our night equipment. As we're walking out, we see this track right off the side of the trail. So we go out, we cast it. The next day I come back, and the day I find the trackway, it had a 42-inch stride going up a 20-degree grade.
Wow.
So walking uphill, it was still taking almost 4-foot steps uphill.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we cast that one. So fast forward a little bit more, we go to 2011, and I had my team out there. Now I have a team, and so as time progresses, you build more resources and whatnot.
Yep.
And so we had been out all night, and everybody was hearing things there, hearing things there. So we break after we're being out for a few hours. Okay, everybody, it's October. Everybody back into the fire. Let's warm up. Let's get a little food. Let's debrief, and then we'll go back out again for round 2.
Yep.
So while we're done with the debrief, everybody's, and of course I run a kind of fun camp. My number one rule is have fun.
Yeah.
Because if you're not having fun, you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
Right. So we're all kind of, everybody's kind of, chuckling and having a good time. All right, I got to go get some batteries for my headlamp, and off I go. So I go out to the little path, 50 feet to the dirt road, my car where it's parked.
Mm-hmm.
Open up, get my batteries, throw them in my pocket, light up a cigarette. And while I'm smoking my cigarette, I decide to pull out my flashlight. I look down the downhill, which is the north side of the road, which is where that gentleman about maybe 200 yards away had that sighting at night where he opened the door on one.
Yeah.
And I spin around to the south side, which is uphill, and standing next to the utility pole is an 8-foot creature.
Wow.
Bipedal. Its eyes were shining back at me, and they were dark orange.
Okay.
And what it was doing, it was watching our campfire. It was watching. We were entertaining it. It was watching us at our campfire.
Wow.
So I just froze, and I stood there for I don't know how long, 30, 40 seconds, whatever. And then finally, I just shook the flashlight. It turned, and it walked into the woods to the southwest side of the camp. Then I get a radio transmission. Hey, Steve, there's a lot of movement to the southwest side of camp. Yeah, no kidding. I want Team A out here now.
Yeah.
So they come out here, and they actually videotape me seconds after my sighting, which is spectacular.
Wow.
So that was sighting number one. They did find where it had stepped in. There was still dirt moving in on that. They videotaped that. It was just remarkable. The second one, we were taping America's Book of Secrets.
Okay.
And it was a Monday night. We had just drove in from Chautauqua Lake, which is way on the other side of New York State.
Okay.
Now, New York State's huge. I mean, it takes 5 hours to get from Chautauqua to Albany, and then another hour and a half from Albany up to there, and you had a couple of stops. We've been driving for 8 hours.
Wow.
It had been raining and miserable all day. We got there to the camp. It was raining. We start collecting birch because birch is one of the strange woods that will burn wet because of the oil in the bark.
Okay.
So we were collecting a lot of birch, getting camp set up. We had one guy, a researcher from Georgia. We had another married couple, researchers from Ohio, and me. So that was 4 of us in the camp for that night. And we set up the tarp for the base camp and where we were going to cook and eat. And we set up our tents, and I had an equipment tent and then here comes, History Channel. We're not going out tonight. We're beat to heck. It's raining. It's miserable.
Yeah.
We just want to, eat, and we want to go to bed. Well, can we do some interviews? They did our interviews. They left. So now it's, they left about 9:30. Now it's about 10 o'clock at night. We're all sitting around talking. And one by one, we all start dropping like flies. Melissa, who was from Ohio, married to Wayne. He decides she's going to go off. She goes off. And Jeff, who is from Georgia, he turns around and he goes, well, I'm going to get my pillow and blanket out of my Jeep because I'm not sure. It's the first time I'm using this tent. So he kept his pillow and blanket, in his Jeep until he was ready to go to bed because he didn't want a wet pillow and blanket.
Yeah.
Just in case the tent had a problem.
Yeah.
So he gets his pillow and blanket and off he goes to bed. So me and Wayne, we're up and we're the two smokers. We're sitting there having a couple of smokes and all right, cigarettes, not anything else.
Yeah.
No, I want to clarify that. And so, eventually it was probably 11:30. We decide to knock off. So we go. Well, about 1:30, I'm like, eyes open up. I got to use a tree. Nature call.
Yeah.
So as I'm unzipping my tent, now mind you, it was overcast, but there was a full moon that night. So everything kind of had like this nightlight type of glow. It wasn't as bright as the moon, but it was kind of nightlight, like you could see.
Yeah.
And of course, the leaves have dropped because, again, it's mid-October.
Yep.
Almost a year to the day, give or take a day from the last sighting I had.
Yeah.
And I open up my tent and I peek out. And I start to get out and I look to the left, and there in the wooded area between the campsite and the road, here is a 5.5-foot reddish brown, long-haired creature booking it like a bat out of hell out of there.
Wow.
And my first reaction to that was like, no. I didn't see that. All right.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to use the tree and go back to hell with bed. I must be really overtired. I use the tree. I go back to bed. 4 hours later, had to use another tree. That time I brought a flashlight, but didn't see a damn thing.
Oh, damn.
So at 7 o'clock in the morning, or 7:30 in the morning, give or take, I am awoken by our guy from Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
I hear him, Steve. I'm like, who the hell's by hell? I open up my tent. What's going on? He goes, hey, something left a birch log behind my Jeep last night.
Oh, wow.
And sure enough, behind his Jeep was a 3.5-foot birch log. And it wasn't there at the time he got his pillow and blanket because he would have tripped over it.
Yeah.
Open up his Jeep.
Wow.
Which is really creepy because that's what we were collecting during the day.
Yeah.
Which indicates to me something was watching us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? So the next day, the couple from Ohio find a 9-inch crack in that area where I had seen it going in the other direction. So it must have been when it was coming in. And I see Just Chef say no chance it could have been a bear on its hind legs. Not a chance.
No. You said it was running, right? The 5 foot
yeah,
one?
it was running. Yeah, you could see the full legs going.
Yeah.
And it was really fast. And that's the thing. A bear. I have been up there. This year was my 25th year up there.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Never have seen a bear up there once. Not once. It's not very common to where they are. Bears are very uncommon there.
Oh, wow.
Okay. They're more about 6 miles more to the north where there's more elevation.
Oh, okay.
But never have. I mean, I'm sure there's a bear once in a while that wanders through. Yeah. But bears aren't reddish brown, number one. They don't have long hair, number two. And number three, when bears stand, they're not meant for bipedalism. So they kind of walk right.
Like a penguin,
and like literally that would have been like, oh, that's a bear.
Yeah.
Right? No, this thing was like,
wow.
gone.